When you decide to have a calm, simple life, you try to eliminate your traumas. Freud says that many of the negative things we observe, mainly our limitations, come from childhood and consequently from the environment we live in. This will be the most real video I have ever recorded in my life, and I was having many days feeling depressed and decided not only to write poems about my own life, but to open up to myself that I go through this crisis of sadness because I lack love. I think no one needs to be strong or always strong. I believe that life is not meant to be a fight, and that in order for you to change this, you need to follow a routine of good thoughts. But it has been difficult for me. The last time I saw my mother was at the airport 2 years ago. And I remember that when I mentioned that I was going to the airport, the first thing she said was something like, "You don't need me." She didn't say it exactly, but she implied that she didn't want to go with me to the airport. My stepfather had to intervene and say that it was necessary for her to accompany me to the airport, and I was already so used to that kind of distance that I didn't even protest. I just said, "Yes, you don't need to go to the airport with me." That was not something I wanted to say. That was automatic because I spent my childhood believing that she would not have time for me, and when she did, she preferred not to use that time with me or it's okay knowing what was happening in my life. So even today, when someone distances themselves from me, it's naturally for me to distance myself too, or let them go. When I moved, we almost didn't have conversations, but we always exchanged videos on social media. Once thought, I thought, well, she's my mother, I should try to get closer. I miss her, right? I suggested a video call where set the day, the time. I called her several times, sent a message, and she didn't show up. And she still kept sending funny videos, but she never spoke to me by video call again after that day. She didn't even ask if I'm okay. I think this How Are You happened 4 or 3 times since I moved to Europe. You might ask, you never really tried, Stacy. But I tried. I already tried when we still live it together to get closer, go out together, and that there was always an excuse. The last time I invited her to one of my things was a ballad performance in which I was very excited. She said she was very tired and I had no one to go see me, and she was anyway the only person I wanted to see me, and she was available the whole day. When I arrived at home, my stepfather saw me arriving and asked me how the performance went, and I wanted to tell him, but I figured I don't believe that anyone would care. I said that the performance was very good. My mother was next to my stepfather, and you know what she said? Nothing. After my father, who was rarely present in my life, disappeared, I had this quick conversation asking for help because I didn't know what I was doing with my life, and I didn't know which future I was following. And then I looked at her. I said, "Mom, you never helped me." And she said, "I'm doing my best with everything I have observed through out my life, and I know that you think I'm a bad mother, but I will be always be here for you. And that made me stronger because from that day, I understood that I could never change her, but she would always be my mother and love me that way, in her way. My father was also the man that loves me in his way because after disappearing for a year, he came back. When I was a child, he had all the opportunities in the world to be present, and he just decided not to be. But I believe that he was my father. He helped me sometimes, but when I decided to ask him for help for the first time, and that was not financial help, it was advice, it was to be present, he disappeared. And now that he has returned, I don't want contact. My mother may not be perfect, but should never abandon me. I am grateful to both, and I love them from my heart, but I cannot live or stay in this toxic environment for a long time because it seems that the more I try to give love, the more I am rejected. And rejection from who you believe should love you hurts, or at least they should love me in another way. And this is very painful in our relationships, friendships, love. We end up expressing this same kind of trauma, no? If I don't feel that the person likes me that much, instead of being clear, I hide because it was the way I always did. I should speak, but who will listen to me? So, in order for me to live in peace, I had to start admitting these things, and it doesn't hurt me to think about what has already gone, but it hurts me sometimes to look at all these loves, all these families that I sometimes see, and think how beautiful they are, and I feel bad about it, about myself. Don't get me wrong, it's not envy but sadness, and you feel inadequate trying to find things from your past to feel normal. Because it's not that I didn't have a happy childhood, but every child, every single child deserves to be accompanied. There are different ways to deal with the lack of love in life, and each one will have a vice, a habit, something to try to distance themselves from this reality. Some people replace all this with money, some with shopping, others with several boyfriends. But I believe that I created this world in my mind that still protects me today. I think that that's myself here trying not to let myself be alone. And I deal with it by escaping into my thoughts, imagining that everything could have been different. The best advice of my life was from my stepfather. He said that if my mind was bad in my country, it wouldn't matter where I ran away to, where I was. I would be bad, sad, anywhere. So this is what I'm doing now, trying to be well. And this affects my relationships a lot. I changed a lot the way I treat people in friendships to try to be healthier. And I don't see me as someone without friends, but I don't have anyone very close to me. And sometimes I feel that I have no one. I have been trying to fix, to resolve this lack of love, but I know it's very hard. So I'm trying to follow these tips to feel better about myself, and I would like to share. Acknowledge childhood influences. Freud said that many of our emotional patterns and limitations stem from early experiences. So recognizing these origins can help you Understand why you may struggle with love today. Unresolved childhood experiences can create repetitive patterns of seeking or avoiding love, and becoming aware of this is the first step towards meaningful change. Seek professional support. Therapy isn't only for crisis, okay? Set boundaries. Accept that you cannot change others. You cannot do it. Protect yourself from toxic dynamics and surround yourself with people who can consistently offer you love and care. Give love to others. Helping someone, volunteering, or simply being present for another person can increase your own sense of connection and love without relying on unmet parental needs. And the most important thing is that if you practice these habits consistently, you will gradually build genuine self love.